They came from all over the country, from all over the city of Nairobi. They gathered from all directions. Their goal, they said, to occupy the parliamentary buildings in the middle of the city of Nairobi. A majority of them, a youth, Generation Z. Their goal, to overhaul the Kenyan governance system, they said. They say the system is full of corruption, and that is why the country is sinking under a mountain of debt, and they want to change the status quo. We spoke to a few of them, and here is what they said.
It's punitive, it's retrogressive, not Turkey. Rejects! Not Turkey.
They are renovating their homes and everything over 660 million. Yeah. Like, that's an extravagant amount of money.
The government is too stupid to think. Ruto, you can't just tax everybody.
It began peacefully enough, but you could sense a tension. There was tension in the air, and it was possible to see that something big, something huge was coming up. And we followed them, interacted with them, and these are the scenes that were unfolding in Nairobi. Among the many measures the government had taken to stop these young people from accessing the CBD was to block all the major roads that lead into the city. Now, no public service vehicles were coming in, and only certain cleared private vehicles were allowed to come in. But these young people are crafty, and you could see they have the energy, the intention, and a destination. So what did they do? They walked to the city center. Then when they reached Haile Selassie Avenue, at the junction of Haile Selassie and Moi Avenue, the police had blocked there. But what these people did was to climb over the barricades. And after scaling the barricades, they got into the CBD, and they were facing the police face to face. Battle lines were drawn. The police on one side geared up with their batons and their tear gas canisters and their guns and their helmets on one side. And the restless youth, hordes of them, on the other. And the youth were singing, "We are peaceful." But then they kept coming. They kept coming. And they were coming from all directions. Sooner it became quite apparent that the police were going to be overrun. And again, as we said, we speak to a few of them. You can see how they're looking.
The parents went through the same shit. Now they want us to go through the same shit. History ya land. Wanataka sisi tusikue land owners. Land yenye tumeinherit kwa wazazi wetu, kwa mababu zetu. Tukipewa watoto wetu pia. Walipie aje. Doesn't make sense. So reject. Let me show you.
Reject the finance bill.
Come, let me ask you a question. Why are you wearing that mask?
Why am I wearing this mask? To represent Ruto. The government is just money heads. Reject!
All the white stuff you see on their faces are toothpaste, because apparently toothpaste lessens the impact of tear gas on their eyes. But they also covered their faces with masks, the masks that had previously been used during the COVID-19 pandemic. And when I asked them why they were wearing the masks, they said the masks serve two purposes. One, it lessens the entrance into their mouths and nostrils of the tear gas. But the second, the government had recently launched a campaign whereby people leading the demonstrations were being abducted at night. So they were sort of hiding their faces so the cameras won't catch them. But again, not all of them were hiding their faces. So confident were they in their purposes, in their destiny, that some of them thought it was right to do what they were doing. In fact, I spoke with a few who said they don't mind dying. They said they don't want to die, but if it was necessary, they would be willing to die. And here this is one of the young ladies who was there, whom I spoke with, right next to Times Tower, which is the headquarters of the Central Bank of Kenya, a heavily armed place. It sits right next to the police headquarters, actually. It's called Vigilance House. And even there, the young people had somehow sneaked in and were actually interacting with the police, with the security agents. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Tamara. I'm 19. I'm 19 years old. Gen Z.
What are your reasons for being in the street?
My reasons, obviously, I'm fighting against the finance bill.
What do you do on a daily basis, on a regular basis? Where would you be if you are not here today?
If I wasn't here today, obviously I would be helping my mom in her restaurant, at her restaurant, and just going about my normal college life. Currently I'm studying psychology. My mom is an entrepreneur. She owns a restaurant.
How does this affect you? How does the finance bill affect you at a personal level?
It affects, I feel like it doesn't just affect me, it affects everyone. I'm sorry, I'm so scared. I don't think it's acceptable. The fact that they want to tax people above the age of 25, people who are unemployed, people who are probably not even gotten stabilized, people who have not yet gotten stabilized into the world. The second thing is the cancer patients. Personally, my grandmother died from breast cancer, and it's really, really painful to even witness something like that. The fact that they want to put tax on top of the already expensive treatment. Like I saw my parents paying that thing. I saw everyone in our family trying to chime in order to make her last days the best that they can be with the chemotherapy and everything, which already was not cheap.
Anything about for your mom's Biashara?
Yes, it's going to affect a lot of things because the prices of everything is going to skyrocket, and obviously because it's a business, they can't constantly change the prices according to how the country decides it's feeling about some certain prices.
Now, another thing we noticed was that the security agents were not harassing them, which is new in Kenya. Usually, security agents would chase them and beat them, and there would be a mutual bellicosity between the two camps. But this time, the police seemed very interactive, in fact, very jovial, and once in a while you could see them strike conversations. Now, we spoke with some policemen who didn't want to be quoted, and they mentioned two reasons why they were not being violent toward the young people. They said, one, there's a policeman who beat up one of the protesters recently, and his picture got plastered all over the internet, and these young people put online what they claimed to be his telephone numbers, the telephone numbers of his wife and of his daughter, who's in a university somewhere, together with their names and their identities. And they said they were welcoming the protesters to salimia them, that is to greet them, which would sound like a byword for harassing them. And so that may have intimidated the rest of the policemen to go a bit slow in order to protect themselves, their privacy, and their families at home. Another reason, in fact, there are three reasons. The second reason we seemed to get was the one that the policemen, the security agents, were partly supportive of the demonstrations. That is to say that they too don't like the government, they don't like what the government is doing, which might be understandable, because they too pay taxes, and their taxes and their salaries are being hived off in order to facilitate the collection of taxes. So they too are unhappy. That could be a second reason.
This financial year of 2024, I reject. We can't tolerate such a thing like this.
Okay.
This man will come to kill us. I have my generation. How will it be in my future? I reject, bro. I reject.
But there's a third reason that could be the reason why they were very gentle with the demonstrators. And this other reason is the law. One of the things the Law Society of Kenya has been doing is to emphasize to the security agencies that the law allows demonstrations, that any policeman who attacks demonstrators is actually breaking the law. The law allows demonstrations, and the citizens do not need the permission of the police to hold placards and to publicize their stand on various issues that affect them personally or publicly. And so the police have seen what happens to some of the security forces who disregard some of these provisions of the Constitution. But also the other thing that the police could be thinking about were the ICC, the International Criminal Court, that from about the year 2013, previous to the year 2013 elections, had tried the current president, William Ruto, together with the then President Uhuru Kenyatta for crimes against humanity, among many other serious crimes. And though they were claiming that the ICC did not have jurisdiction within Kenya, still they were forced to go to The Hague, and they had to hire some high-flying lawyers to defend them, which cost a lot of money, we can assume. And the policemen do not have the resources to be able to defend themselves before the ICC. So these are among the various reasons. Now, as you can see from some of the videos here,
wacha nikwambie, Ruto kama mimi, mtoto wangu ana pampers. Mimi mtoto wangu ana pampers. Pampers moja ni 30, akona mwaka moja na nusu. Mimi pad nanunua 150, aje shwali Ruto. Mimi niko 18 years, shwali. Mamangu ana pesa ya school fees, mamangu ana nini? Unataka tuende wapi sasa?
The hordes of youth were moving closer to the government offices. And you can see they kept coming. The police would lobby tear gas at them, but they would not withdraw. They would run, but then come back. And every time they came back, they stepped a little closer to the police, and the police were being pressed in from all sides. And it was only a matter of time before something big happened. There were skirmishes here and there. Tear gas were being thrown. Stones were being hurled at the policemen, and in fact at some point, as you can see from one of these videos, one of the rocks thrown by the demonstrators came very close to me, and I had to move out because the riot police I was standing amongst had helmets and protective gear. I did not have realized that if I got hit, I might get seriously hurt, so I decided to withdraw. But as I withdrew, I could see the demonstrators getting ever so close, and it was apparent that something huge was afoot. And as I withdrew and got out of the scene of the confrontation that was building between the anti-riot police and the demonstrators, I could see the police walking backwards. As you can see, some of them walking backwards, like they were really feeling the pressure. And so it happened that soon as I withdrew to the side, the youth ran forward and overran the Parliament of Kenya and set a part of it on fire, as now the whole world knows. Now, soon after that, the president came out and basically called the demonstrators criminals, which was a lot of commentators who came on TV, a lot of political analysts called the president's reaction unfortunate. And though the president later withdrew the bill, the contentious bill that had triggered all the demonstration, the demonstrators say right now as we speak that the point of negotiation with the president had passed. Their next target is State House. They call it Occupy State House. The question is, will they succeed? These young people say Ruto must go. In fact, it's trending online right now. The only thing that's trending in Kenya the most right now, and probably around the world, is Ruto must go. Demonstrations are being held all across the world. We've seen demonstrations in Los Angeles, in the US, in the UK, in London. Demonstrations from different parts of the world as Kenyans in those areas say that the president must resign, that they want to overhaul the system, and they want to hold elections, they want to elect a new leader. The question Kenyans must grapple with is, how do you remove from office and before the end of his tenure a universally unpopular but ruthless president who has the parliament under his thumb and is willing to employ the security services to kidnap, torture and kill even members of Gen Z who oppose him? This is the legal maze through which Kenya's determined youth must steer in the next few days and weeks.
And let me tell you something. This revolution will be
This is Samikere reporting from Nairobi, Kenya.